Hello and welcome to the show. Today with me is Jarrett Simon. He is the founder of Game Day Men's Health and will enlighten us today what brought us to his journey and what he's doing. But first of all, you can introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
My name is Jarrett Simon. I live here in the States in Houston, Texas, and I'm a franchise administrator. I'll correct there. So we have our actual founder and CEO was just in Houston this week. And when he created this franchise back in 2018, he had started in California, in Southern California. And it branched out to all these franchises. We'll get into the details because it's the largest men's clinic franchise in the country, probably in the world, with the number of stores we have open at this point. But yeah, I grew up here in Houston. I really come from corporate America. This sort of thing isn't something I grew in. I kind of grew into it, but I was really in corporate America doing more energy conservation type stuff, which I know is big over in Germany and Europe. But did all that, and that ended, kind of looked for something else and came upon this.
All right. Thank you for the first introduction. So we heard already, okay, very big franchise. Maybe can you tell us a little bit more about what you're offering?
Yeah, so Game Day Men's Health, its primary focus is on testosterone replacement therapy, erectile dysfunction, peptides, weight loss, vitamin injections. Those are the 5 primary things that we focus on. And it was specifically designed originally for men because men don't talk about this sort of thing, right? On the female side, women have been told, they in their adolescence in 15, 16, whatever, you get told you'll have menopause and you'll go through some changes when you get older. We never talked about that as men. It never, ever talked about it. So when it starts to happen to you in your mid 40s and you're like, wow, something's not right. I can't work out as long. I don't have the energy. My libido is gone. So this is supposed to be, it's very, I'm in my office, but it's manly colors and we have sports on TV. It's not like a regular clinic. So it's really to make it comfortable and feel like you can have this conversation with the clinician and not feel weird about it, so to speak.
Yeah, I totally agree. So it's a topic no one is talking about it, and here we are in a podcast talking about it. So I think we are going in the right direction. I have been in digital health for many years. I've seen the wave of women health with all the cycle apps and all these awareness topics, and I think that's was an interesting phase and is still going on. When did you perceive that this is now shifting to men's health?
Yeah, a good question, and it was kind of a part of my own personal journey, right? So when I about a year, I signed on with the company about a year ago, but probably a year or 2 before that, and really probably about 5 years before that, I had my own issues with low energy. I was married at the time and kind of went to a doctor to find out what's going on. And what you hear, a lot of guys that come into the clinic, all the clinics around Houston, around the States, a lot of these guys are saying the same thing. The doctor said I was fine, my testosterone isn't that low, it's kind of okay. Go do some exercise, get some sleep, you'll be fine. And that's just not the case, right? Your body doesn't automatically fix itself once that hormone starts to go awry. So as I was learning about this company, I was also investigating, hey, maybe this would be good for me. Maybe all these symptoms I'm hearing about, I have that. Let me start talking to somebody about this. And so it was, I'm also a client, right? So I started on the services like when I bought into the franchise, and you start to talk. I talk to friends, and half of my friends are doing these sort of things. They're on testosterone, which goes to the point that we don't talk about it. I have really good friends that are doing it, and they're not sharing their story with me. So it all kind of fit all at the same time.
Yeah. So basically you searched for a solution for yourself and you ended up in the company. So what did you do before? Was this anyhow related to health, or you worked even in a completely different sector?
So professionally, I was in a completely different world, right? I have to say that I worked for the local utility company here for a very long time, and I worked for other energy conservation companies before that. So I was doing, working with large energy users like Air Force bases and school districts and universities, helping them conserve energy. But I always was into fitness and always into health and always into just on a personal side. I always worked out and always did that sort of thing. I was very active. So for me, when I started to see my ability to be as active start to drop and my desire for, let's call it sex or my sexual performance starts to drop, you can kind of, yeah, okay, something's not right. I want to go, I want to go to work all day, and then I want to go to the gym, and then I want to go out and hang out with my friends all night. But I'm falling asleep at 7:30, right? So that's not going to work for me. So you start to look for solutions. So that's again, it wasn't professional, but on the personal side, I could kind of tune in pretty quickly that something wasn't right.
Yeah. And since you started that, what changes in society, what trends did you see since then in the last 1 to 3 years?
Yeah, you definitely see that the stigma around testosterone or erectile dysfunction is the stigma is coming down, right? We're kind of getting rid of that, and I try to make guys come in and or anyone I talk to about this feel as comfortable as possible in the fact that almost every guy has some form of erectile dysfunction or some form of energy loss. I mean, we start to lose our testosterone at the age of 30, right? 1% a year. So, somewhere in your 30s, about 1% a year is just going to start dropping. And it's just natural, it happens. So there's going to be effects that come with that. So you start to see there's less stigma around it, more conversation. And what we're really learning is, I don't know what generation is going to be, maybe just behind your generation would be the 25-year-olds or something. They're really, really into wellness and into health. So they're coming in very early and say, hey, I want to check. I want to just know where I'm at. I want to find out now so that I can plan for the next 5 or 6 years. Whereas my generation, not so much. We didn't talk about it. So that's one big trend. So if you have the youth, I call it the youth, right? The younger adults that pushing more educating themselves earlier, that stigma will go away faster. You just continue to build out solutions after we have optimized our health.
Yeah, I think they bring together two main or two important factors. One is their willingness to spend on health. So I just read that Gen Z is already responsible for like 46% of health and wellness spending. So they spend a lot on their health, on their wellness. And second is that they grew up with all this. I talk about mental health and so on. And I think it's not that far away that, okay, I also talk about these topics which might not feel super comfortable in the first place as a man.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very, very interesting point you're touching on there.
Well, no, and another kind of side point to that is, and this is a random thing I saw the other day, that Gen Z generation, they're one of the lower users of alcohol. They don't party as much. I mean, I'd say that my kids are twins that are 25 years old, and they just hang out at home. They'll go with their friends to watch a ball game, and that's about it. They don't really do anything like I did when I was in my mid-20s. So you have those two things working together, right? They don't really party as hard, let's call it that, and they're definitely much more into wellness and aware of their health. So.
Yeah, but if I have this correctly in mind, I think that the testosterone average over the last 100 years within men in the same age is declining. Is this correct?
It's declining. We just had my business partners. We had an interview with the local newspaper earlier today, and we were talking about this. It definitely is declining, but there's the metrics that we see that. So if today you go to, I don't know how you do it in Europe, I'm assuming it's similar, but in the U.S. I go to the doctor, where I go get my blood drawn, and they show me my testosterone score. It'll be within a range of, in that range, they'll say you're low or high or whatever. Let's say that range is 300 to 800. Well, that range is determined by the last 10 to 15,000 people that have been tested. So it's not really saying whether you're healthy or not. It's just saying here's where you fall on the spectrum of the last 10,000 people. And then you can ask the question, are the people that are getting tested, those are the ones that are probably a little low and they want to know what's going on, right? It's not the healthiest of the healthiest all the time. So it's curious to know what is, well, we have our belief on what's healthy and what's not, but it's curious to know what the real average is, as opposed to just what's the average of those people that are getting tested.
Makes sense. So we have now understood, okay, these are the trends. This is a bit where the problems lie and what you do. But we want to understand now a bit more, how does your actual day look like? What are you doing in your clinics with the people who come with low testosterone or with other problems which might be related to that?
Yeah, so game day, we try to make it, since this is a male kind of oriented spot, you try to make it as simple as possible, right? One, men don't want to be here. Two, they don't want to be here very long. And three, they want to walk out with a solution very quickly. So we make it an easy 3-step process. You come in, you get checked in, and if it's testosterone that you want to get checked, we test right here in the clinic. So we draw your blood just like you're at a normal doctor. We have a lab where we test your testosterone, your PSA, and your hematocrit, your thickness of your blood. We test those, get the results in about 15-20 minutes. You have the conversation with the clinician, 20 to 30 minutes. And then if you are low, and if you want to get started, you can start at the end of that day. Make your payment, get your first injection, and off you go. So that is the very typical, consultation for someone. If they're, like I said, if you're not coming in for testosterone, let's say you want weight loss, and you just want to talk about peptides. Obviously, you're not going to do the testosterone test, so your appointment could be 30, 40 minutes, something like that. But that's basically a day. So we just book up book a calendar, get people in, and try to get them a good consultation, a good conversation. And we do all of the pre-work as well. Just as if you're going to the doctor, all the background questions, the medical intake forms, full assessment. It's the full workup. And we'll take your blood also. I just mentioned 3 things that we tested in the clinic, but we do send it out for the full labs as well. We'll send it to another lab and do the full lipid workup and everything. So that's a typical consultation.
How are those testosterone problems related to the other areas you just mentioned, like weight loss, general health, I don't know, cardiovascular health, brain health?
Yeah, so I'm not a doctor. But testosterone touches a lot in our system, right? So getting someone's hormones balanced. If they're low, let's say someone comes in and they want to lose weight and they want to start testosterone. If they're not really, really heavy, the clinician may say, hey, let's just start with the testosterone first. Let's get that to a good optimal level for you. Give that a month or 2, see how you feel. Because sometimes you could just start to put on a little more muscle and you start to burn a little more fat. And that may be a good starting place to get you moving in the right direction. And then if you want to do weight loss after that, then we can do that. If you want to add peptides after that, we can do that. So testosterone touches, obviously, the ability to build muscle, the ability to burn fat, the ability to, for clarity of thought, brain fog. It's been linked to depression. Low testosterone has been linked to depression, anxiety. It's been linked to cardiovascular issues. So again, if you can get that right, it can usually cover a lot of things. Same as libido, but if you do get it right, once we get it optimized, and then you're still having some symptoms, then let's talk about some other things.
So you're using it as an entry point, and the main thing, you're placing other things around it, but you're also offering, okay, then weight loss, other treatments. You're offering this holistic blood test if needed. So it's a really a full service in your business.
Exactly.
So you're on the business side developing this. So we see all these trends. We see more and more men coming. So are you happy on the business side? How is the development of your company going?
Our company has been phenomenal. We are, as I mentioned, we're probably the fastest growing franchise. We're definitely the fastest growing in American history. We went from about 30 stores in, I think it was 2023, late 23, to almost 400 now. And we're going to have 1,000 in North America. So there's 400, roughly 400 open, and we have 600 more to come. So we will, the amount of data we have, it's a huge numbers, right? The amount of data we're going to have on, what PSA readings are for men of different age groups. Once we aggregate all that data, is going to be just tremendous to the medical industry. But the point to your question, the business side is phenomenal because from my standpoint, I like the idea of talking to people about just what this means to them and their environment, right? It's one thing to say, Joe, I'm going to get your testosterone right, but when your testosterone right, and again, I get goosebumps when I say it because I lived it. And when your testosterone is right, your mental clarity is right. You're not as anxious. You're not as angry. So, what does that mean for you in your relationships with your spouse or your partner? What does it mean for how you show up to work? How do you integrate with your kids? So you start to say, okay, I'm going to help you feel better, but it's going to help your whole family dynamic feel better. It's going to help you be a better employee or a better boss. And it just spirals, right? It just keeps going. So it really is tremendous. Once you get the guy right, you can get so many other things right as well.
Yeah. And are there any challenges you're currently facing in developing them?
Yeah, the challenge is, even though I mentioned the stigma is going away, it's still there to a certain point. And you still have, we as men still feel like we can fix things ourselves, right? So we have a lot of guys come in and I'm like, man, your testosterone's 200 or it's 250. And they're like, let me think about it. Or let me, I was like, there's nothing to think about. It's not going to fix itself, right? So you have that. We have competition. So, you mentioned it is a popular thing that's going on around the world, right? So we have plenty of competition. But I think those are probably the two biggest, just getting men to realize that you can't fix it on your own, and your body's not going to, stop losing its testosterone as you age. It's just natural. And then it's just the competition that we have. But I think it really is a tremendous thing when you can help somebody balance their hormones and get their health in order and see them progress through, hey, I'm going to the gym more. Hey, my wife and I are hanging out later at night, we're going to dinner. It really is great to see.
What does Gamestay Men's Health make or does better than your competitors? How do you set yourself apart?
The 3-step process I mentioned, our consultation and our test is free of charge. We see some of our competitors are trying to go that route as well. But we set ourselves apart because we do a fully comprehensive medical assessment that some of our competitors are doing one or the other. Either they do some sort of medical assessment, but they're not doing anything. They're charging for all the consultations. They're trying to do free consultations, and they're not doing a deep medical assessment because they don't want that cost. We're going all in to make sure this is right for the customer. And we have turned away patients, right? If you don't qualify, then we're not going to give you testosterone. And So it's the three-step process. It's the ongoing care and treatment. It's the ongoing, we do labs continually, right? So you may start treatment today, but in 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to do your labs again. 3 months after that, and 3 months after that, we're going to keep doing labs so we can adjust your dosage. So you're not getting too much, you're not getting too little, and you feel just right. So that sets us apart. You can go on our Google reviews, and it's, I don't know, I think our CEO said we have over 20,000 5-star reviews across our system. So that is the number one thing. Our customer comes first.
Yeah. So I have some medical background, and I think thinking holistic is always a way to go because it increases quality, and is rarely that a medical problem is on its own. So it's usually always connected with each other. So I like that approach. How can I imagine your business model and your cost structure? So I think your clients pay out of pocket. How much is it roughly? Is it per month or per session or?
Yeah, no, so it's out of pocket, and don't take insurance because it's easier that way. And insurance here in the States likes to, they don't look at low testosterone as, unless you're super low, unless you're, something that's really medically an issue low, they don't see it as something worth paying for. So our customers pay out of pocket, and it's just a flat fee each month. Our pricing can range around the country. We're free to kind of match our pricing based on the location we're in. So I'm going to say, depending on what part of the country you're in, it could be anywhere maybe $200 to $250 per month. And that price includes all of it includes all your consultations. So there isn't a separate fee for consultations. There's a separate fee for visits. We're paying that one fee. We get testosterone. You can call the clinician if you want to, have a conversation, set up a check-in appointment. But that's how we basically how our fees are for the testosterone. Yeah.
Right. And when we look a bit into the future, so you mentioned you want to go from 400 to 1,000 clinics across the country. What other numbers are you looking at to optimize? What are your goals in the next 6 or 12 months?
I think the testosterone is always going to be kind of the baseline. I think the number one thing that we would like to see really tick up would be the peptides and the erectile dysfunction modalities. We have two main things that we do. One is gaze wave treatment, sound wave treatment, helps break up plaque in the penis and promotes blood flow. And then another one is a P shot. You can do P shots for hair, you can do P shots for joints, but there's a P shot also for the penis where you take out your blood, spit it, and put the plasma back in. Helps with sensitivity, longer, stronger erections, and girth. So those are the three things that I would say we'd want to see more of, would be the peptides and the erectile dysfunction modalities.
Mm-hmm. All right. And if you had one wish free or a magic stick and you could solve one major challenge at the moment, which one would you solve?
One magic trick, it would probably be ED, because it affects. Now again, you can sometimes solve the ED with the testosterone with fixing the low T, but it has such a negative effect on a man's psychological nature and their their mental aspect, how they feel about themselves, the relationship. And if there's one thing if I could fix, would get guys kind of to feel comfortable with having the conversation, right? Feeling comfortable with doing something about it, because we have a lot of guys come in that it's an issue for them, but I don't know, something is holding them back, but it's seeking the solutions. So that would be the big, for me. I know I've talked to guys, and I remember my issues back in the day. Once you get it fixed, you ask yourself over and over, why did I wait so long? What was I waiting for? So that would be my number one thing I would hope guys could get over in the near future.
Yeah, that's a good wish. I think would help a lot of men, and especially not only the ones like you and me talking about these things. I think there's so many men out there which don't talk at all about it and could need your help or
Yeah.
help at all.
So,
Yeah. So I think we got a pretty good view on this industry today that, okay, men's health is rising. We have huge problems with all testosterone and all the related fields. And you're doing a very interesting approach with more holistic view on the thing and not only purely testosterone, and are growing, let me say that, like crazy. So very, very impressive. Is there something you would like our audience, and I will also share everything here with you would like the audience to know and take away from that podcast? Anything?
I would say, for those that may see this in the States, for the guys out there, and even for the women, go get your levels checked. Go to a game day men's health, get your levels checked. We don't, there's no cost for it. And you'll be in and out probably 45 minutes. And, to us, knowledge is key, right? So once you know, hey, you're good or you're not good, once you know that you're low, you can start to draw the comparisons to, these are some of the symptoms I'm having, and maybe it's because of that. But that would be my number one thing to say. When you get your blood drawn at your regular doctor, they are looking in that range and they just see a number in that range. It's like you're fine. They don't even bring it up. They don't ask those questions that are symptomatic to low T. They're asking about something else. So find a game day, go get tested, and now you know your number and you can make a decision after that.
You motivated me, so I will also do it myself.
There you go.
I think it's time to have a look into that, because
Go
all the
see.
things you mentioned during the podcast, I was like, maybe I should get checked. Yeah, maybe I feel a bit there, I feel a bit there. I just get checked and then we know, and
There
maybe
you
we
go.
have to do something and maybe not, but get checked, I think is a very good idea.
Yeah, if you're in New York, in Manhattan, there's a clinic, the owner's name is Tyler. Go see
All right.
Tyler and tell him I sent him to you. I sent you to him. Yeah.
Amazing. Jarrett, thank you so much for being on the show today, giving us an introduction into that topic. And yeah, see you at Game Day Men's Health. Thank you so
Sounds
much.
good. Thank you, Joe. All right. Thank you.